Welcome once again to Auto Mundial, the weekly home of all the latest motoring news and reviews. This week the battery electric vehicle gets put through its paces on the Monte Carlo Rally.
We've also got Adrian Newey's engineering swansong to Red Bull Racing.
Plus, is Abarth's latest creation just as fiery as its outgoing model?
That's all coming up. First though, the news.
In recent weeks, it has emerged that Japanese automakers Nissan and Honda are in talks of a potential merger, with the two manufacturers eyeing up motoring giants like the Volkswagen Group. According to reports, the two have signed a memorandum of understanding outlining plans to integrate both brands within a new parent company from under which they would both operate. With talks ongoing, all signs appear to point towards a final decision and definitive agreement by this summer, with the merger taking shape in August of next year. Much like within the VW Group, this new parent company would see both Honda and Nissan operating independently on the surface, though key elements like powertrains and platforms would be shared, helping keep research and development costs down. Creating a joint holding company would require a share transfer between the two companies, requiring the approval of existing shareholders. If these plans do go ahead, the Honda-Nissan merger will become the third largest automaking group in the world, behind just Volkswagen and Toyota. But the move will not be without major implications across the wider automotive industry. The Renault Group is currently Nissan's main shareholder and holds a similar development and manufacturing alliance with the Japanese marque, including a number of shared platforms. Honda, on the other hand, is collaborating with General Motors on EV motor development. That being said, both manufacturers insist this new merger will not affect their existing partnerships. Affiliated with Nissan through the Renault alliance, rumours also suggest that Mitsubishi has signed a separate memorandum of understanding to join the new automotive giant, with a more concrete decision expected soon.
As we speak, the hills of the French Riviera surrounding Monaco are reverberating with the sound of forced induction, explosive four cylinders, and the scrape of snow tyres sliding across mountain passes. Yes, the biggest names in rallying are currently duking it out in the 2025 Monte Carlo Rally. One of the most popular events on the World Rally Championship calendar, fans may flock to the Franco-Italian border for the thrill of popping anti-lag. But for those in search of a more tranquil alpine competition, the Automobile Club de Monaco also has you covered. This is the E-Rallye Monte Carlo, a regularity rally on passes used by the full-fat event, reserved strictly for all-electric production cars. And whilst in its first editions the event would have had slim pickings for entrants, this 8th running of the rally shows just how much choice BEV enthusiasts have on the market today.
Taking place in October of last year, the rally's 2024 edition saw no fewer than 63 entries take part, representing a whopping 40 car models from 18 manufacturers across the industry. One manufacturer seemingly paving the way for the electric car is Tesla, and the American marque has fantastic representation at the 2024 E-Rallye Monte Carlo, with no fewer than 12 examples taking part. Starting from £40,000, the Model 3 is among the most affordable mid-size electric crossover, making it a popular competitor. Available in a number of declinations, we would opt for the long-range rear-wheel drive model for its 436 miles of juice and sub-5 second 0 to 62 time. But an emerging manufacturer in the all-electric space is Volkswagen and its lineup of ID offerings. 10 Volkswagens took to the start of the 2024 running, showing just how popular the new age of people's car truly is. 7 ID3 Pro hatchbacks featured on the entry list, and with its compact shape, commendable performance and relative affordability starting from just over £30,000, we're not surprised at its strong uptake. What we are surprised to see, however, is an ID Buzz minivan taking on the slopes of Monte Carlo's mountains. This funky minivan gets 285 bhp from an 86 kWh battery with a maximum range of about 293 miles. Unlike its rivals on the rally, however, it has plenty of space for a quick nap should you run out of juice en route to the finish line. Performing well on the stages of Monte Carlo was this BMW i4 of Monegasque's Olivier Campana and Nicolas Malinezzo. However, if a German saloon with electric power is what you're after, the Audi e-tron GT is our preferred choice. Typically, range concerns and elevated battery temperatures affecting performance are stubborn obstacles for EV uptake in motorsport. Circuits used in Formula E, for example, are catered to electric tech with heavy braking zones and short straights, helping in keeping batteries topped up for longer. But running on narrow mountain roads combining switchback hairpins and lower average speeds, this E-Rallye certainly shows battery electric competition in its best light. In fact, modern EVs use regenerative braking, which uses the electric motor to slow the car down with resistance rather than the actual brakes, in turn sending energy back into the battery, extending range. And with their numerous corners, mountain passes are the perfect routes for optimizing so-called regen. Furthermore, with a vast network of 575 charging stations, the Principality of Monaco is an ideal base for such an event. Having covered over 155 competitive miles after 3 days, it was the Spanish pairing of Enrico Conde and Lucas Segnis that took overall honours aboard their Kia EV6 GT. With sharp looks hiding a 76 kWh battery and a pair of electric motors pumping out 576 brake horsepower, we're not surprised the Korean crossover performed well on the tricky mountain stages. But this isn't the first time a Spanish-driven Kia has topped the E-Rallye Monte Carlo charts, as the previous running also saw Enrico and Segnis come out on top, this time piloting a Kia e-Niro. Can the duo make it 3 in a row this year? Tune in later in the year to find out.
8 Drivers' Championships, 6 Constructors' titles, and all that in just 14 years. With Adrian Newey designing its cars, the Red Bull racing team has been a dominant force in Formula One for well over a decade. Now, on his way out from the team, the famed designer, reportedly capable of seeing air, has one last Red Bull design for the world, but this time it isn't set for F1 infamy. Instead, this RB17 hypercar may well find its way onto the open road. That is, if those spending the £6 million price tag will dare to drive it out of the garage. As you can see, this road-going racer is all about optimising airflow and downforce, making for a dramatically sleek body with plenty of kicks and flicks. In fact, Red Bull reckons this is the first road legal production car that will match Formula One lap times at most tracks. While the car's 1.7 tonnes of downforce is impressive and will contribute to that claim, we are perhaps even more excited by the 4.5-litre V10 engine sitting behind the cockpit. Reaching up to 15,000 RPM, it will sing all the way past the 1,000 brake horsepower mark. If that doesn't sound like enough to you, a further 200 bhp come from an electric motor. Combine all those numbers and you get a 217 mph weapon sporting number plates. Just what you need for the weekly shop. If you didn't hear it properly the first time, Red Bull states its RB17 will cost a little under £6 million. But there's no need to fret over that number for too long, as with only 50 examples ever set to leave the factory, every allocation is no doubt already fulfilled.
After the break, BMW's 5 Series has a tough challenger in the shape of the Genesis G80. But which will come out on top?
Welcome back. Coming up, if anyone can inject a bit of soul into an all-electric sporty crossover, it's Abarth. But first...
An alternative choice in the large premium saloon car space up against established German rivals, the Genesis G80 has been around for a few years now, attracting moderate success here in the UK. And whilst our version of the Americano Korean lowrider is beginning to show its age, a new year means a new facelift stateside, bringing bolder looks to what was an already attractive sedan. Retaining what most would consider typical Genesis styling, the new model gets an overall sharper look thanks to a boxy rear bumper and more complex front grille design. But according to Genesis, the 2025 G80 is far more than a simple visual refresh, as its entire offering has reportedly been refined, ready to take on the big dogs in class. This refinement comes from a pair of reworked powertrain offerings in the shape of either a 2.5-litre turbocharged or larger 3.5-litre unit, producing 300 and 375 brake horsepower respectively. Either has plenty of oomph for most situations. Presenting as a premium barge on a budget, the G80 features a collection of fancy gadgets inside, from Wi-Fi hotspotting to heated front and rear seats and a top-of-the-range speaker setup. And as we have come to expect in recent times, a 27-inch dual display sits across the dashboard. The whole thing is coated in lush upholstery and bejeweled accents, making for an upmarket feel, though we're not sure we'd go for this eye-catching red. The Genesis G80 hits the market in the United States from $57,000, with the more powerful engine commanding a further $12,000. So what does a more established brand offer for the same money?
Well, available from just over $59,000 is the latest version of BMW 5 Series in 530i form, powered by a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder and pumping out just 255 brake horsepower. Bavaria's option does not hit the ground running. Take a look down the options list, however, and for a similar price to Genesis' top engine is the 540i, a straight 6 pushing out 375 ponies. The slightly more potent version of the 5 Series may well match its newcomer rival in the power department, but thanks to a 48-volt hybrid system, it's surely the more refined of the two, especially when it comes to eking out every last mile from a tank of fuel. Much like Genesis, BMW fills its 5 Series with tech matching its rival's sizable infotainment screen and collection of safety assists. The rest of the cabin is all very BMW, which is far from a bad thing. Both front and rear seats are spacious, whilst the boot is almost 100 litres larger than that of the Genesis. Better yet, and unlike the G80, the 5 Series rear seats will fold down, allowing to load longer objects like golf clubs and skis. Though, whilst practicality reigns supreme in the German contender, we get a sense that the Beamer lacks personality in what is a somewhat sterile cabin. That's even more obvious when compared with the Genesis G80 and its plush interior space resembling a warm, leathery hug. Moreover, that soulless persona carries forward to the outside with this latest 5 Series. When the Genesis is a combination of smooth lines and welcoming shapes, the Bavarian gets sharper, more cumbersome styling that we aren't particular fans of. Overall though, for its everyday practicality and efficiency, we would still recommend going with the tried and trusted 5 Series between the two. But the Bavarian giant had better keep an eye on the ever-evolving Genesis G80, which is clearly becoming quite the contender.
Abarth. Over the last decade or so, this little Italian manufacturer has been hard at work with Fiat's 500 city car, replacing the Econobox's cut-price interior materials with exciting trim pieces and ousting dreary power figures in favour of a cracking soundtrack. The range of souped-up Abarth 500s has been a popular hot hatch alternative for years. Now, last year, the range-topping 695 celebrated 75 years of the Abarth name with this, a limited edition unit sporting sparkly gold accents and plenty of Scorpion decals. Sadly though, the so-called 75 Anniversario was not just a chance to sell off a few remaining chassis at a hiked price point. It turns out the warm hatch in flashy guise also signalled the end of the burbling Abarth 500 in petrol-burning form. At the end of one era, however, means the beginning of another, and we get the sense Abarth is moving on, but with a heavy heart.
Yes, Abarth is saying goodbye to the loud, gas-guzzling hot hatch. But in its place is an equally as tuneful lineup of offerings, currently headlined by this, the Abarth 600E. E for electric. This newest model, to wear the famous Scorpion insignia, may drop the burbling four-pot, but that does not mean Italy's sports cars do not get a touch of personality. Speakers under the car aim to give old-school motorists a sense of occasion, but just in case you were wondering, you can turn off what we do see as a bit of a gimmick. What isn't fake on this new sporty electric crossover is its power. As where the regular Fiat 600E gets 150 brake horsepower, Abarth's take on the model reaches the dizzying heights of 280. This means a top speed of 124 miles per hour, whilst in true EV fashion, acceleration to 60 from a standstill is a rather impressive 5.8 seconds. If you aren't lucky enough to get your hands on the limited-run Scorpionissima, the standard Turismo model still gets 240 brake horsepower, a number we like the sound of for UK roads. Either way, that makes the 600E Abarth's most powerful production car ever. Visually, Abarth's crossover is very much similar to Fiat's original design, but giving this car a sportier look are larger grille elements, a slight lip to the front end, and this protruding rear wing. We do feel this complex wheel design somewhat dampens the 600E's overall looks, but in 2025 it is very difficult to escape quirky wheel designs that may or may not induce motion sickness. Inside, everything is as you would expect from an electric Abarth. Much like its smaller sibling, the 500, this 600E gets a vast array of bright details. We do look forward to a time when electric vehicles needn't present as bold new age creations, but for now we are stuck with acid green accents, it seems. Where Fiat's model gets basic bargain upholstery, Abarth coats its cabin in a more upmarket dress, mixing leathers and suede. A small central driver display is a nice throwback to older Abarth creations, whilst a 10.25-inch screen sits on the dash for infotainment purposes. Using the regular Fiat 600e as a base, Abarth's version benefits from all the same practical features, such as a spacious second row of seats, decent boot and plenty of safety equipment. But really it's these hugging sports seats, trick limited slip differential and Formula E racing tech gone into the model's development that will get enthusiasts hot under the collar. The Abarth 600e is available to order now, with prices starting from £37,000.
Thank you for watching, but sadly this is all we have time for. Do join us next week when we take a look at the all-new Bentley Flying Spur.